Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Mr. Baker will be absent this evening. Mr. Vieira.
Here.
Dr. Vogt.
Here.
Dr. Selly.
Here.
Mrs. Wittes.
Here.
I hereby certify that this meeting has been published in the newspaper in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act and posted as required by law.
Thank you. At this time, Mr. Jackson, would you speak on the beach badge?
Yes, thank you, Council President. Tonight on your council agenda, there's a consent resolution 239-18, and it's for competitive contracting for electronic beach badge system concession. And I just wanted to make other members of council that weren't involved in some of our meetings with a potential vendor that we've researched the possibility of having an app that would be on a smartphone through which some of our customers and patrons at our city beaches could purchase their beach badges. As you know, the vast majority of the purchases are done by cash. It's something that we'd like to reduce in volume. Cash is a dangerous thing to have laying around, and also with our employees, it puts a burden on them, not just financially for the city, but also for safety reasons. So we had a vendor come in and demonstrate their app. It would be of no cost to the city, and it would allow patrons of our beachfront to purchase a number of beach badges. They can pick the number that they want. They can purchase in advance and have them in reserve, and our personnel would be able to process those purchases without the need for any additional electronic equipment or any type of cost to the city. It would be a very simple process. So as part of the process to have that app made available, we first have to issue an RFP for potential vendors. And on your agenda tonight, you'll see that resolution to authorize that RFP.
Thank you. Anyone have questions?
George, just a question on timing.
Sure.
Just to ensure that we're going to be able to implement this for the summer, like how long does this process need to take now?
The longest period of time involved would be for the advertising,
Okay.
and also for the training of personnel who obviously haven't been hired yet. This will be a new process, and the equipment, again, there is no equipment other than the piece of plastic with a QR reader, and it would just simply go over the phone. As you may recall, I don't know if you were involved with Mr. Masterson, the potential vendor, he can have the software ready to go within 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, I meant like the whole bid process now, the whole RFP. How long does that have to take?
How soon are we getting these back, Mike?
I think it's after 30 days.
Okay.
Okay.
By the end of the year, we can have an award made.
Okay. Oh, good.
Yep.
Good. Okay.
Yep.
Anyone else?
Any other questions?
No.
No? Okay. Thank you.
Next, we're going to discuss best practices. Mr. Morton?
Thank you. The state put out their best practice questionnaire this year, a little later than last year or the year before, but
If we can go down there, please.
Hey, Michael?
yes,
Could you talk into the microphone? Because
yeah, it's fine. Can you hear me? Good.
he didn't have his microphone.
Okay.
The state put out its best practice questionnaire
Is that better?
a little later than normal this year,
Is that better?
Not really.
Talk louder, Mike.
and we did reasonably well. We got 97% of a yes, not applicable or prospective answer, which put us in the zero penalty range. There's a lot of prospective questions this year, which means that we're going to take their suggestions under consideration and potentially implement them into our policies and procedures for the next year. I know you guys got this late. I apologize. We're still working on a questionnaire up until very recently. Does anybody have any questions? It's not something you have to take action on. We just have to discuss it and look it over.
So the perspective means that it's something that we're going to be looking at and
Yep.
deciding on based on their recommendations?
Correct.
So, Michael, what was the timing on it? And it's interesting to hear you say that we got a 97, just because I I just had a minute before the meeting just to glance at the link, and there's a really nice article about Eatontown, the best of best practices. And so I was surprised with the timing. Are we still, how does all that kind of get put together?
What do you mean by timing?
Well, I was surprised to see that it was already publicized, and and this has already been submitted? Is
No,
what
it
you're
was actually
saying?
due on Tuesday, but we had to discuss it at a council meeting, and this was our closest council meeting.
Okay. And when did you say it is due?
It was due Tuesday.
It was due on Tuesday. Okay.
But I emailed the state and requested an extension, and they didn't seem to have a problem with it, so.
Okay.
And Councilwoman, just to clarify, in the Eatontown article, that meeting was, I believe, on November 8th.
Okay.
And what they do, because of the municipalities, they move it up a week.
Okay.
So they normally would have had it last night as we would have had ours, and they went through this same process, this same discussion at that meeting. So we're just 1 week behind their timing. if you will.
Okay. But the really encouraging thing is that it looks like our marks are nice and high,
Yes.
too. So that's wonderful. I don't know if there's any opportunity to discuss some of these. This is a wealth of information for all of us. So I would just suggest at some point, even, and this was a question that I had before, like even just point number 2, in terms of the copy of our current shared services agreements. It would be informative for me to be able to see that, a copy of that. So could we get some of that, Michael?
Certainly, yes.
All right, that would be good. And like I said, there are a number of things, if we really wanted to go through this as a team and, look at some of the answers and see what action we wanted to take. It's an excellent document, so.
And also, I would like to, with regards to the grants, find out exactly how many grants we apply for and how many we get, and what other grants are out there that we haven't, touched on at this point in time. Because I think, it would be, a great savings to the taxpayer if we can get more grant money here. So I'd like to, maybe at our finance meeting, Michael, discuss that.
Sure.
Thank you.
Michael, on question 52, would you explain that to me, please? It looks like we're being penalized for doing the job. That's on the health benefits for the full-time employees.
52.
It says we can't answer yes unless we do certain things.
Well, the reason we had to answer no is because we provide health benefits for officials that don't work in excess of 30 hours a week. That was the main reason.
I don't like reading it. And would you explain what prospective means in this term?
Perspective means that it's something that the city will take under consideration as far as a potential policy to implement, and meaning we're going to look at the question or the suggestion of the practice in the coming year.
So just to apply that to one specific question, I think it's 37, 36, 35. Does your municipality have a current community or economic development plan with established metrics? And that's perspective. Do we have any details about that yet? Have we started to, how is that going to take place? What do we know about that now?
That's something I would have to research and find out what type of metrics they want us to establish. I know it's a per capita type thing and square footage and mileage, and there's probably a whole list of data that can be applied.
But that's something that we would be looking at in the future, right? Would that something you would be bringing to us as the economic development plan?
Yes?
Okay.
Anyone else?
I just wanted to add the good news. I had asked Kathy if she would go back and look at the scores when we started this, which was back in 2014. We did quite well. In other words, we're at 97%. Back in 2014 to 15, we were at 72%. 2015 to 2016, 84%. 77% again, 2016 to 2017, and 84%, 2017 to 2018. So this year we're at 97%.
Yeah, that's excellent.
That's
Yeah. I'm sorry, just from the questions from like 62 on, this part is yet to be completed, correct?
They're still being worked on.
Okay. So we'll see the final document then when you get all of it completed, because,
Definitely, yes.
perfect. Okay, great, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Ms. Martin.
Thank you.
Next item is review of regular meeting agenda. Are there any questions on that? I have a question. The roadway projects, do we know which roadways are going to be remediated?
No question, thanks.
Our engineer, Bill England, is here. Bill, sorry to put you on the spot, but can you help us out within the actual roads that are in the program? I know we just...
I apologize, I do not have that list with me.
Okay.
That was my question.
Was it?
Yeah, that's
Oh.
exactly my question on that one.
Well, maybe we can get that soon.
Yeah, Rose,
I know there was 11 of them.
yeah, we have them. It's just,
Okay.
but that's a good idea that in the future it should be put on
Yeah, because we were.
on the resolution, yeah, for the ordinance.
Okay, thank you. Okay, at this
So
time... Oh, go ahead.
I had a question just about the transfers, $80,000 for gasoline.
Yeah, we've noticed and experienced an increase in price of gasoline primarily, and not as much so it's in diesel fuel.
I can hardly hear you down at this end.
We've experienced an increase in cost to the fuel, so that required a transfer.
I can understand the reasoning, it just seemed like an extraordinary amount of money. I mean, the number is what the number is, it just,
We use a lot of fuel.
so as we look at the budget going forward, I mean, that's a chunk of money to be moving. I'm just, so looking at the projections that we make, and particularly going into the budget, process now, just kind of catches your attention when you're making an $80,000 transfer.
It does. It's also very difficult to speculate fuel prices 15 months away from the actual time. It's just tough to do.
I guess, Mike, what might be helpful, and maybe you don't have the answer, do you have any idea what the yearly fuel cost is? So we have, like, in terms of $80,000 increase, what percentage is that? Do you have any idea, or do you know what the fuel cost is on a yearly basis?
Not off the top of my head. I
Yeah.
wouldn't want
Yeah, no,
to
I-
quote a wrong answer.
Come on, it's like...
Okay. At this time, I need a motion to go into executive session for the following items: contract negotiations, Carousel, Oneida Surf Club, Bluffs. We'll also be adding Longbridge Partners and then Chandler Maps Property, and personnel matter, board appointments, Cable Commission.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call?
Mr. Viera,
yes.
Dr. Vogt,
Yes?
Dr. Selly,
Yes.
Mrs. Wittes.
Yes. Thank you.